Hello and welcome. This is One Life to Collect. I'm going through my world banknote collection. I've got a video for each one of these binders, so please check them all out. If you're on the last video, I don't know why you started from the end, but maybe go backwards alphabetically. I'm going to save Canada and the US to the very end, but for now we ended the last one, the second to last, with Venezuela. And now the last one we'll pick up with more Venezuela. These ones here are really spectacular. Now, obviously, they've gone through some hyperinflation, so these are pretty much not even worth the paper they're on, but I find them to be very stunning. And I keep, some of these have consecutive serial numbers, or for whatever reason, I've kept two different versions of them. Maybe they're a different date on them. I don't normally keep different signatures, but if it's a different variation, then I'll usually keep whatever, as many versions of these as possible that I see are different, but with the exception of signatures or serial numbers. So these are really nice. 100. So yeah, I think they just kept having to reissue these like 2 or more times a year. So they got devalued so quickly. 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. But they look great. So here is Vietnam. So Indochina is the very beginning. Here is Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. So I filed it under Vietnam, maybe mistakenly, but that's where it is for the time being. They went through a lot of different designs here. I'm not sure what this one is here, but over the years with Vietnam. And I know they've had their own hyperinflation issues as well. 10, 20, 5, 10, 20. We're almost done. We're in the V's here. So 50, 100, and 500. Sounds in pretty poor shape. 20, 50, and 100. Yeah, I'm not sure. Either burnt or something. 500 and 1,000. And a nice image there. 1,000, 500, and 1,000. So again, maybe these might not be filed perfectly, but try to kind of have them in order of age. The oldest sets first to the newer, and then in increasing denomination after that. So now we are in the W's. This is West African currency. So these are all, probably could put them next to each other, but for whatever reason, if there's multiple in here, they're probably just different dates. Yeah, like most likely. So really hard to get these in good condition. The paper was relatively thin as well. There's 25, 50, 500. Really cool. Love having these. And then these are getting newer. They're not newest, but well, these might be actually. And then here is still West African. It's 100 and 1,000. It's pretty big size. Yeah, these are the newer ones. So 500, 1,000, and 2,000. And here's 5,000 and 10,000. All right, X. Oh, nothing in X. So Y. So these are Yemen. So Yemeni reals. Here's the newest versions of them. Pretty nice. I think that was the sequential tree. 200. So this is the beginning here. I think all of this is all pretty much Yugoslavia now. So this is the oldest one I've got here. So it's kind of got the double-sided 1929. And I've got this one. This is kind of between World War I and II. Huge size. There's 20. There's another one. Some of them had like overprints on them. So if it has, one has an overprint, the other doesn't, I try to keep both. Look at the size of this one. Very cool. 1,000 dinars. And here is the Kingdom of the Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes. So we're kind of getting into the World War II with these ones here. Era. There's 50 and 100 dinars. And here's 10, 20, and 50. Again, I kind of keep these because they probably have different dates on them. 100, 500, and 1,000 dinars. These are like 70s and 80s. And now we're getting into, well, like late 80s into the 90s. So here's like the first hyperinflation. So 50 or 500,000, 2 million, jump straight from 50 to 500,000. Crazy. 2 million. And here's, I think that's Tito, 5,000, 2,000, or 20,000, and 50,000. So again, these were, the inflation was so bad that they would print them multiple times a year. Sometimes they keep like, see these two, the same image, same everything, but they would just drop a bunch of zeros. So here's a million, and they dropped it down to 100. So they just cut some zeros off on it. So crazy that it went through that. 50, 500, 500. So even like I'm just basically going on the back here, 1990, 91, right? So keeping them in chronological order. There's only these two here. 100, 1,000, and 5,000. And then 10, 50,000, and back down to 5. I think it's just a different year on the back of that. 10,000, 50, 100,000. So the sizes kind of moved around a lot too. So I don't know how they kept everything straight. 500,000. That was a Nikola Tesla as well. Look at that, 10 million, 50 million. Here's 100 million, 500 million. There's, how much is that? A billion? 5 billion, 10 billion, more Nikola Tesla. 50 billion, 500 billion, and then 10. So look at this one. It's incredible. So that would have been, that was 1993, and then this jumped to 94. So they dropped pretty much all the zeros off. There's 1,000, and then they crept back up again. So these are all 94. And they started, I think these were new dinars or something. 1, 5, 10. Yeah, Novi, new dinar. And 20, 50. And here, these ones look like modern, kind of like current day Serbia, but these were actually, so, the only difference is that these actually still say Yugoslavia on them versus the Serbia being here. So 10, 20, and 50. The nice vertical design, very cool. And there's Nikola Tesla again, and there's a 200. think there's 1,000 above that. Okay, so now we're into Z or Z, depending on where part of the world you're in. This is Zaire. So 1, 5, 1. There's 5, 10, and 50, all with the same guy on the front. And here's 500, and then, of course, 20,000, a million. So this one is hyperinflation as well. These last couple binders have had a lot. Because the further you are in the alphabet, the more prone to inflation, maybe. 100,000. Here is Zambia. That's the oldest one I've got. And then here, I think this guy wins for happiest person on a banknote. I've always thought that. There's 10, 20, and 50. And then here's the next series here. I was actually there, Victoria Falls. Really beautiful. And here's kind of the eagle series, I'm going to call it. So 20, 50, and 100. They all kind of look the exact same. I think Zambia is another one that went to polymer and then back to paper, if I'm not wrong. I think Nigeria did that and Zambia did that as well. So yeah, these I think are polymer here. Yep. So there's 500 and 1,000, and then it goes back to paper. So it's 2, 5, 10, and 20, 50, 100, all with the eagle on the front. And here is Zimbabwe. So obviously it had a previous name, Rhodesia. So I filed these with the Zimbabwe notes, even though they could be under R. So here's $2, 10, 20. This is before hyperinflation took over. And then here's where it started. So 500 and 1,000. And then they reissued with the rocks on them. And you'll see a really popular one, which I think is one of the highest denominations in the world, coming up very soon. So there's 100, there's 500,000. So it jumps pretty quickly here. I actually have these are 2 each, and they are consecutive serial numbers on all of these. So I actually had 2 sets. I've had them for years, and this was before the 100 trillion or whatever it is. So I have 2 of them with consecutive serial numbers of all of these. So there's a 200, 500 million, and $1 billion. So you could be a billionaire overnight. 5 billion, 10 billion, 20 billion. $50 billion, 10 trillion, 50 trillion. $100 trillion. So this is the big one that everybody collects. I think it's worth some crazy amount of money, but I've got in mint condition and actually consecutive serial numbers as well. Yeah, 41 and then 42. It's really cool. And these are like emergency aggro checks here after that. So here's the 100 trillion. And they started the dollars over again, dropping all the zeros. Here's 20, 50, and 100. And 500. And finally, these I actually picked up when I was there a few years back, when they only had the 2 and the 5 at the time. And then I later got the 10. So this is kind of the reissue of the dollar, trying to build trust in the currency. And then 50 and 100, I don't even know what it is today, but it's probably higher than that now. So 1500. So that is it. This took a little while. Hopefully you've seen all of the binder videos so far. Let me know if you have any feedback. Love to hear your comments, your thoughts. And then I'm going to do Canada and the US at the very end. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions, feedback, and thank you for watching.